Hello everyone, and welcome back to DMG. This is the XPS M2010, a 20-inch, 20-pound luggable desktop replacement from 2006 that is truly an unparalleled system. There is nothing else that is quite like this machine. It's more desktop than laptop, not only in its weight and its girth, but in its keyboard and in a couple other of its features. Now there's a good chance that you've heard of this machine already if you are into the same things as I am. However, I'm here to tell a bit of a different story about it. A lot of people believe that the M2010 is truly the peak of laptop design, but I'm here to argue that it actually is a tale of massive failed potential. Although it must have seemed like the second coming of Christ to a desktop replacement buyer in 2006, 2007, unfortunately, it does some things very wrong. The things that it does right, it does very right. I will give it credit. There are some things I adore about this machine, but unfortunately, it has massively glaring issues. So I would absolutely not recommend this to a modern buyer. But I'll get into all of that in a minute. First of all, let's start off with a bit of a tour around the outside, because this is like no other laptop. Well, it isn't a laptop. This is like no other portable computer out there. I'll go ahead and take off this keyboard so I can lift it up a little easier. So it is about 20 pounds. Without the battery, which I don't have, it's only like 17. On the back here is, of course, the massive hinge and the handle to lift it up. I'm gonna have to set this down. Charger, it takes a 150 watt charger. Display port, 2 USB, that's USB 2. RJ45, 56K modem, DVI and S-video outputs. And, oh no. So, that's something I'll talk about later. These panels are attached through a bizarre spring clip mechanism instead of screws, and they fall off. On the right side here, express card, compact flash, SD card reader, Firewire 400, a base port for the subwoofer. The front that's just where the keyboard docks, and it has these little pins to charge the keyboard's battery. And on the left side here, a button to synchronize with the keyboard, headphone and microphone, and 2 USB 2. So obviously, this is giant. It's really hard to tell what you're actually looking at, because it kind of looks like without the keyboard attached, it kind of just looks like a desktop monitor with a stupid stand. But all of its hardware is, of course, down here in the base, and the keyboard takes up the rest of the space. Now, this is, of course, a really, really nice design if you want a desktop keyboard in a luggable machine. However, the keyboard takes up so much space, because typically in a laptop, the keyboard is only like the top, fourth, fifth of the machine? It would go up to like only taking up an eighth of the horizontal space of the machine in a system of this era, so you could fit components under that laptop keyboard. Unfortunately, in the XPS, that's not the case. So the internal room of the chassis is only about the same as what a 15-inch laptop would offer. Whoops, accidentally turned that on. So the room inside the chassis, where the hardware actually is, only ends up being about equivalent to what a 15-inch laptop would offer, and as a result, performance does suffer. The hardware they put in here is not quite as good as it could have been. This system makes the chunkiest of 17-inch laptops look like little babies. This XPS M1710 from the same series is tiny compared to the M2010, yet this has a higher resolution screen and more powerful graphics, which is a real shame. Now for the final part of our tour is looking at the top of the machine. One of the most visually striking features of the XPS M2010 is the fact that its optical drive loads like that. It's a slot-loading optical drive which pops out from the case, and you slide your disc into there. And it makes quite the cute little sound. Now you can actually see, let me tilt this window so you can. You can actually see the heat pipe of the graphics card through that window in the optical drive. And unfortunately, that's because this machine does not have an optical drive. Now, I'm not saying it didn't ship with an optical drive. Of course it came with an optical drive. But my unit is missing it because, unfortunately, the M2010 features the only combination of two things worse than orange juice and toothpaste. That is unreliable parts that are also proprietary. The two most important components of this system are proprietary, and you cannot find replacements for them. The optical drive is one of the most unique things about this machine. Unfortunately, that also means that you can't find them goddamn anywhere. That window in the top of the unit actually allows you to see the disc underneath, because the optical drive itself has a little window. This is the lid from the M2010's original optical drive. Unfortunately, it is the only optical drive on the planet that has a lid that looks like this. And when your optical drive is broken like mine, that's a really big problem. I couldn't find any exact replacements of this drive, so I tried 4 other optical drives with similar part numbers and I screwed this lid on. However, unfortunately, none of them quite fit right. They either wouldn't load the disc, or the drive was too far back in the case to register that a disc was inserted, and then I had to pull it out. So optical drive, you can't really fix it, unfortunately, unless you can find that exact part number replacement. Optical drive you can go without. However, the other unreliable and proprietary component in the system is literally the most critical component that could possibly fail, and that's the graphics card. Now this uses the ATI Radeon X1800M. It uses the same proprietary slot as the XPS M1710's graphics card. Now, I had a little bit of a whine fest in my XPS M1710 video talking about how the graphics card compatibility was really limited. There were only like 4 actually released for the system, and then there were 5 or so more that you could cram in there if you really wanted to, because they used the same slot and display connector. And in retrospect, I feel kinda awful about whining about the laptop only having 10 compatible graphics cards, because the number of graphics cards made and sold with the M2010 is 1. Radeon X1800 is the only card that works in here, and unfortunately, they're a little unreliable. Combined with the very limited number of these machines that were actually sold, a single graphics card goes for over $200, which is bad, because that's often what you pay for the whole laptop. My graphics card is failing. It artifacts, it glitches, and when it glitches in 3D, it's actually really funny because it corrupts textures and it stretches the models, and it's really hilarious. I've tried to replace it. Don't say I have not tried. I have bought 4 Radeon X1800 cards. None of them work. The artifacting card that originally came with the machine is the best one I have. None of these output any video. So I'm sorry, but you'll have to put up with a little flickering in the benchmark section. They do use the same proprietary slot as the graphics card in the M1710, the Precision M40, and all of those other old Dell laptops. However, the display connector is ever so slightly wider. And also the heatsink is different. So that means you can't put a graphics card from the XPS M1710, or Precision M40, or Inspiron E1505 in this machine and plug it into the display. I have tested. The system boots with the graphics card from my XPS M1710. It turns on with that Quadro FX card, and it will output to the display of the Precision, or sorry, to the XPS M1710. Because, well, it won't plug into this display. So, long story short, the only graphics card you can get for this thing is 20 years old, it's unreliable, and you will never find a replacement. Well, without any further ado, let's boot it up. I do have a bit of bad news. Unfortunately, the keyboard also requires its own battery, which I don't have. So I won't be able to show you the keyboard. I will still give you the typing feel of the keyboard. I'll do that a little, let you hear the sound of it. Unfortunately, my keyboard's in bad shape. Even worse, it's in French, which is absolutely horrible, and it's also missing the battery. So the keyboard is completely useless without the battery because it actually connects to the laptop through the battery. So you can't use it unless you have one. The keyboard also features the little trackpad, which it's reasonably sized for a maybe 12 or 13-inch laptop, so it's not too bad. It's not too bad of a size. So I guess that is what you would use for your pseudo portability. Unfortunately, the touchpad is covered in soft touch rubber, so it started to go a little sticky. But that won't be a problem for us because, well, we can't really use it. This screen is the best I have ever seen. I'm not exaggerating there. This is truly the best looking screen I have ever seen on anything. It is absolutely gorgeous. Unfortunately, it's only 1680 by 1050. 1680 by 1050. And that is a little bit baffling considering the XPS M1710 has a resolution of 1920 by 1200, and the Precision M4400, released a couple years later at 15 inches, has a resolution of 1920 by 1200. So it is a bit of a shame that its resolution is only 1680 by 1050. However, that, especially for the time, is still quite a good resolution. But the screen is absolutely gorgeous, has the best contrast I have ever seen from not just a laptop display, but from a desktop monitor. It is CCFL backlit, so it does have a bit of a warmer, softer, more gentle light, and I'm a sucker for that. I can't use LED displays, they look awful to me. So it looks absolutely fantastic, and, well, you're about to see that, because I'll do a couple demos. Now, before I can show you media, though, I'll need to adjust some volume, which luckily, it has the biggest playback controls on Earth. These buttons are absolutely giant, and they light up with a very nice, pleasing blue light that has quite a nice fade effect. This touch control bar is also a lot more reliably responsive than some others I've seen. I wasn't a big fan of the touch controls on the HDX16 because often it pressed the wrong button. you were trying to adjust the volume and you turned off the Wi-Fi. But here, well, the buttons are so big you can't really miss. Well, now that the big negative of the graphics card's unreliability is out of the way, now that I've complained about that, discussed it, I can actually showcase what this machine is truly capable of. And, well, you may have noticed the monitor has these little speakers on it. And I'm about to show you what those sound like. I mentioned earlier that the subwoofer has a bass port, implying, of course, that there is a subwoofer, and it's quite a large one. It measures about 3 inches, which is large in my opinion. But jokes aside, for a laptop subwoofer, it is incredible. Well, that was the subwoofer at max volume. You may have heard a little rattle, and that wasn't the laptop of its own accord. Like, that wasn't something in the laptop rattling. That was actually something over on the other side of my desk vibrating, because that is how much force this subwoofer produces. It actually shakes the desk. And honestly, you feel it just as much as you hear it. So the gaming experience with that woofer is absolutely incredible. Let's see if there's something else that won't get me DMCA'd here. Now, with tracks like that, you can hear, unfortunately, that these 8 speakers are pretty tinny. That was a complaint that I had with the XPS M2010. Laptop subwoofers should be used to add sub-bass, not to compensate for a lack of mid-bass produced by incompetent full-range speakers. And unfortunately, the M2010 does suffer from that problem. These speakers are a little tinny. They only hit the higher end of the frequency spectrum. And Dell is kind of using the subwoofer to try and compensate for that. Granted, it only becomes really evident on a couple tracks. Looks like I forgot a little something while setting up this machine. Pretty hard to test videos without a software that will play the videos. Whoa. Yep. Now that's not good. That is why you should not buy one of these laptops. I really hate to say it. I hate that this is a problem with the XPS M2010, a wonderful laptop. And also, oh great, now we've got to deal with that. I hate that it's a problem with the XPS M2010 and also a problem with the M2010, because both would be so good if they didn't use proprietary graphics cards that are all expensive and all unreliable. You know, it seems every time I turn the machine on, this problem gets worse. For benchmark footage, I might have to go off things that I filmed earlier. I tested Unreal Tournament 2004 when I first got the laptop. First day, I opened it up and played Unreal Tournament 2004, and I was thoroughly unimpressed. Because unfortunately, the Radeon X1800M is not that great of a graphics card. The desktop X1800 is about on the same level as the GeForce 6800 Ultra. And that's fine, but the laptop one has 4 of its shaders cut, and Dell was selling laptops with the GeForce 7950 GTX Go. So it's a cut-down version of a card that was equivalent to a last-generation flagship. In my opinion, it does not match this machine. It's kind of like putting like an RTX 4070 in something this size, just for like a modern comparison. Okay, I've let the thing warm up for about 30 minutes. Sometimes that helps. Just hitting it with a big 3D load after it's been off for a couple hours often immediately crashes the thing, as you just saw. So we're going to start off light with Unreal Tournament 1999. Okay, here goes nothing. Now, funny story, I actually bought this card to benchmark because I noticed as soon as I bought the laptop that this graphics card was dying. I noticed that there was something quite wrong with it. So I thought, let me buy another Radeon X1800 equivalent so that I can benchmark it. This is the FireGL V7200. It uses the exact same die as the Radeon X1800, but no one knows what this is, so they're like $10 instead of like $65. Yeah, this one's dead too. Completely dead. No video output. So unfortunately, the best benchmarks I can give you are going to look like shit. Massive epilepsy warning. There will be flashing lights. The rest of this video will be nothing but flashing lights, in fact. There will be corrupted textures. There will be polygons stretching to unholy lengths. Now, the XPS M2010 truly provides a gaming experience like no other. I have never played a video game and had it be quite like this. I will say that much. Hell yeah. Look at the ground! Look at the ground! Thank God I know the layout of this map. Oh, that's the slime! I couldn't even tell! Thank God I know the layout of this map. Immediately jumps into slime and dies. Look, even the crosshair is just like green scum. This is making my eyes hurt so much. This is pretty unbearable. Oh, let's go, 1 kill. So the graphics card hasn't crashed. That's good news. So as I said, often not immediately hitting it with a super hard 3D load. Often it does alright. So the flickering things are actually pieces of the level geometry that are glitching in and out of the view. They might actually be parts of the player model. Oh yeah, I forgot, you can't do F4 to go third person in this game. The fact that the crosshair is corrupted may be the funniest thing I've ever seen. I've had some really good laughs playing games on this machine and seeing the corruption. I will give it that much. Like I said, this... Oh, look at that! It was all colorful there. Dell called this the showstopper. And it's definitely... Well, this would definitely turn heads. We'll just say that much. Look at those goofy-ass textures. It's actually getting worse the more I play. It's getting crustier. Okay, I'm sorry. I cannot take this anymore. This is hurting my eyes. It's hurting my head. Now my screen is stuck. Okay, there we go. Let's shoot for the ATI car paint demo so that I don't actually have to interact with it. Oh. No! So, that's the processor. It is a T7400, very standard CPU. There's the Mobility X1800, 256 megs of RAM. Yeah, no, it won't tell me what the wireless card is. I believe it's an Intel 3945 ABG. I'll put a title card on screen if I was wrong, but that's the standard Centrino platform. And because this panel conveniently comes off because it's poorly mounted, there is the Centrino logo. Now, to mount this panel, there is a little switch on the back that you have to depress with a screwdriver. If it continues to not work, I won't subject you to too many minutes of just me staring at a continuously crashing computer. I will didn't even get to the damn desktop. I will add some videos of when it did work, because there were a few times where it did actually do more than this. So it's been almost an hour that it's been a little over an hour, actually, that I've been sitting in front of this machine hoping to get at least some footage of it working. And this is the first thing I have managed to run for more than 2 seconds that is not Unreal Tournament 99. Again, big epilepsy warning. It's going to start out fine, and then it will get very, very bad very quickly. There's going to be lots of flashes on screen, lots of rapid patterns, so please click off if you are sensitive to light. Or if you will just find it unpleasant. I get that too. This is the bullshit you're about to be in for. Oh yeah. I'm so glad that you get to see this live.
Yeah, that's good.
Actually, I'm not glad that I have to show you this.
I'll deliver drinks, hope, and the latest technology. Gotcha.
I was going to turn off the, whoa! Okay, we're not going to go there. I was going to turn off the auto taunts because they're a little annoying in videos, but I don't think I could make it into the settings menu. Whoa! Whoa! So that's what happens when you look at a player model. They get all weird and stretched, and you have to kill them to get rid of the Eldritch Demon. It just keeps getting worse. Someone was there. Yes, there you are. Oh god. Oh, it's gone. So yeah, that happens. It fixes itself, and then it'll come back with a vengeance. Oh. Not even a dying graphics card can ruin my pure skill. What was that green stuff? That looked really cool. Whoa, Pikachu. Hi. Good lord. I don't know what video game I'm playing anymore. Sometimes the corruption effects actually look really cool. Most of the time they're incredibly annoying, but sometimes they... oh, damn. Sometimes they end up looking a little interesting. Whoa. Look at the floor, and the player models won't glitch. Look at the lights! Oh god. Oh shit. Okay, good. No! So I need to turn up the screen brightness a bit. You can do that with the original keyboard. Unfortunately, the original keyboard doesn't work, as I've mentioned, so I just have to adjust this through Control Panel. Screen gets reasonably bright. Do I? Screw it, we're going Ice Tomb. Now this is the one that a bunch of old ATI graphics cards glitch on. They don't render some of the particle effects properly. I have not yet tested this on Ice Tomb, so I can't... oh my fuck.
Play.
Oh boy. Oh, the floor's gone. Oh. Unusable is an understatement. What about Hyperblast? This also has some particle effects. Let's get some good particle effects going. I'm so glad that the graphics card is working now. This is my definition of working, because it's not blue screening. There's gonna be that one guy in the comments who says it's a driver issue. This is not a driver issue, my brother in Christ. Oh. It looks fine so far, except for that. Oh yeah. We are swagging. So, it's not performing all that good. That, honestly, like, look, sometimes the glitch textures actually look really cool. It's not performing all that excellently. You can see it's very laggy. I have a feeling that some of that is a result of the dying GPU, but it's definitely... I recall my GeForce 6800 performing not too dissimilarly from this. So, this is just truly not the performance you would expect from a desktop replacement quite as monstrous as this. So, it's a shame that it is burdened by the Radeon X1800, and it's salt in the wound. It is a metric butt-ton of salt in the wound that this is what happens to the graphics card after so many years. But you can see that this screen looks absolutely gorgeous. The black levels are gorgeous. The contrast is wonderful. Some of the most vivid colors I have ever seen. It's almost CRT level good looking. And I don't say that lightly. Like, yes, there are awful looking CRTs, but there are very good ones, and it reminds me of my old Trinitron before the flyback failed. See, sometimes the effects look really cool, and when the graphics card isn't glitching too hard, it's honestly fun to just walk through and see what it comes up with. Oh, well, until that happens. Whoa! Oh! Oh! Where'd that come from? Damn. Oh, wow. Just the game crashed. Wow. Well, that's pretty cool. Oh. Yeah, so I can't mute the copyrighted music because the volume buttons have stopped working. This is cool. So actually the Knight Rider game is pretty bad because Kit controls like buttered sandpaper. Oh. Well, I hate that that's all I could show you of the XPS M2010, but I don't like it anymore that was, well, the only state I was ever able to use it in. And unfortunately, that's why I don't recommend buying this, because just like the M1710, the graphics card is difficult to replace in the M1710, and in this, it's almost impossible. I mean, it's possible, but it is so expensive that for what you're getting, it's really not worth it. For that clip of Unreal Tournament 2004 running without any graphics artifacts, just take that as a reference. That's the kind of performance that you're getting with this system. So unfortunately, the Radeon X1800 kind of ruins this whole machine. And I feel like the keyboard also ruins it. This keyboard takes it from being a viable desktop replacement to making it just a device with a weird gimmick. Because, well, keyboard takes up so much space. You see, in a regular laptop, you'd have your keyboard on top and then components underneath. You can't do that in the XPS M2010 because the keyboard takes up the whole front third of the laptop, leaving this 20-inch laptop with only as much internal space as a 15-inch laptop. So they could have put two GeForce 7950 GTX Go cards in SLI, which Dell did with the XPS M1730. They could have done that with this machine, made it the ultimate desktop replacement. Yet instead, it's got this stupid keyboard and a Radeon X1800. So that's why I feel like the M2010 is just a tale of such wasted potential. Because, yes, it is an incredible laptop. Yes, it's absolutely fascinating. And it's, well, it's kind of a symbol of an era of computer design that is long gone, of what's the dumbest thing we can do, now put it out the door. And people ate it up. People still do, like 20 years later, because it is fascinating. But in practice, it's really not all that good. So I hate to have to end on this note, and I also hate to just sound like I'm slandering this machine. Again, it's fascinating, it's really awesome. I typically say I'm glad to have this in my collection, but this is the first system I've ever felt buyer's remorse for. Like, I genuinely regret purchasing this. Made it about 10 seconds in. Well, more like 15. Then it started artifacting and froze. And when I rebooted, there were artifacts all over the screen, and it blue screened upon trying to load the graphics driver. So yeah, look, it's doing just fine. It was about right here where it stopped last time. It was about right there. Well, we've made it a couple seconds longer, and there it is. There it is. Yeah, this one's running, I mean, shittily, because it's not a great card, but it's running fine. Yeah, and then it's back to running problemless. I guess I just can't run that one demo. I have a feeling, because that one's very heavy on the video memory, I have a feeling that that one particular demo just pushes it way too hard. I have a feeling that the issue is with the VRAM.
Play.
Whoa. Oh, yeah, some big stutters. Oh. Shit. Oops. Well, of course, before I close out, I have to show you what it sounds like. Now, you'll notice the actual keyboard is not that thick. It's only about that thick out of that much space. Because the battery takes up most of the space of the keyboard, so you don't get the tactile feel you would expect. Let me just type a little to show you the sound. It's a lot more of a rattly, clacky sound than you would imagine. The travel is so much shorter than you would expect. So, well, it's a bit of an odd feeling actually using this keyboard. While we're talking about wastes of space, what about the optical drive? The optical drive mechanism almost doubles the footprint of the optical drive itself. However, the laptop is already so big that that's not too much of a problem. It only adds to the thickness. But the keyboard, I'm gonna harp on it more. It takes away a third of the laptop's space. And that's just awful. I feel like it could have been so much better had the keyboard been laptop style. But that's where I'm gonna wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to disagree with me, because this is a very different opinion than pretty much everyone else has on the XPS M2010. I do have some more ludicrous laptops coming up that I have some very positive things to say about, so if you don't like me getting mad, I guess stay tuned. But that's going to wrap it up for today. So thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time.